The day my uncle threw me out, the sky over Florida broke open with thunder. Not a light summer rain, but a wild storm. Lightning cutting through dark clouds, wind bending palm trees, heavy rain hitting the driveway as he tossed my backpack into the street like trash. "No niece of mine is going to waste her life on some low-level tech job," Uncle Mateo yelled, gripping the resignation letter I'd left on his desk at our family accounting firm. His voice bounced off the coral walls of our Tampa home, echoing across the yard where I grew up. "We are a family of professionals, Camilla, doctors, CPAs, executives, not IT support." I watched my backpack splash into a puddle. My code for a financial fraud detection tool was safely backed up online, but seeing my bag soaked still hurt. That bag held my laptop, my journals, and the last bit of comfort from the only home I'd known since my parents died. "Uncle, please," I said quietly, rain already soaking my shirt. "The starter job at FinSafe is just a way in. I have a plan." "A plan?" He laughed harshly like a slap to my face. "Camila Vega, you had a future. Partner at the firm, engaged to Paul Ramirez. A real path, not this stupid startup dream." My aunt stood in the doorway biting her lip, her pearls shining in the light. "Paul's family invited us to brunch Sunday," she said softly. "He still wants to talk to you." I broke off the engagement because I want my own career, Aunt. I don't want to marry for stability. I want to build it. My voice cracked as rain plastered my hair to my face. Uncle Mateo's face hardened like stone. "You're throwing away your Wharton degree to answer help desk calls? To be a nobody?" If he had just read my business plan, he would have known that. Job was my way into FinSafe systems, so I could learn their weaknesses and build something better. But he never listened. Never. "Go," he said coldly. "You want to chase nonsense? Fine. Don't come crying when you fail." "Mateo," my aunt whispered, reaching for his arm. He pushed her hand away and slammed the door. "She's not my niece anymore." I stood in the rain, picking up my soaked bag with shaking hands. That day I lost my family, but I started building my future. 3 years of secret coding. 3 years of pretending to care about tax forms and audits. 3 years of quietly building my fraud detection system had led to this moment. I looked at my aunt, still standing in the doorway, hand on the side frame like she couldn't decide whether to step out or go back in. "Aunt," I said softly, "aren't you going to say anything?" She looked toward the house where Uncle Mateo was probably in his study pouring a drink, angry and self-righteous. "Maybe," she whispered, "maybe in a few months when you see this was a mistake." Then she gently closed the door. I looked back at the house I grew up in, Spanish tile roof, palm-lined driveway, and the Vega and Vega CPA sign next to my uncle's Lexus. Then I got into my old Honda and drove away from the life they planned for me. My new place was tiny, a converted garage in an old Tampa neighborhood with bad plumbing and huge roaches. But it had fast internet and just enough room for my computers. The entry-level tech support job at FinSafe paid little, but money wasn't my goal. Every day I answered calls about frozen screens and login problems, but behind my headset I was watching, learning, mapping their systems, how their security worked, and where it failed. At night, I coded. My fraud prevention program was growing smarter and more powerful than anything on the market. 2 months in, Paul called me. "Camilla, this has gone on long enough," he said with that know-it-all tone. "My father says your uncle might take you back. We can still have the wedding. Just drop this fantasy." I hung up, blocked his number. 6 months after leaving home, it happened. During a routine check, my tool found a hidden security hole in their system, something their expensive security missed. I quietly reported it. Days later, I was called to a glass office overlooking downtown. Mrs. Alvarez, the head of security, folded her hands on her desk. "How did you find this?" she asked, eyeing me carefully. I met her gaze. "I've been building a new security tool. Want to see it?" 3 hours later, I walked out with my first development contract. Small, but it was mine, enough to quit support and focus full-time on what I believed in. That night, I emailed my uncle and aunt. "Update, I'm not coming back. The reply came from my aunt's email, but every word sounded like Uncle Mateo. Tech support to junior developer? Hardly the future. We expected for a Wharton graduate. The Ramirez's asked about you at brunch. Paul is still single. I didn't finish reading. Just closed the email and went back to coding. The next year flew by in code and late nights. My security system got better, smarter, and way more effective than anything out there. That first contract with FinSafe opened doors. Then came calls. From Stripe, then Apple, then someone from the Department of Defense. I left the garage apartment and moved to a small condo, then a bigger one, then a sleek loft in Tampa's growing tech district. I hired one developer, then 3 more. Then a team of 50, Vega Guard Systems was born. But I kept my name off all the papers. Let people think some mystery tech genius was behind it. I had my reasons. My aunt sent messages every few months, mostly links to fancy law events or news, about Paul's political career. I saved them without opening a single one. Meanwhile, offers poured in. Buyouts, investor deals, billion-dollar offers. I turned them all down. I wanted control. I earned control. As news stories spread about the mystery founder of Vega Guard, I hired a smooth-talking CEO named Tyler Hunt to be the public face. He was perfect for TV interviews and investor meetings. I stayed hidden, coding, testing, making it better. One afternoon, my assistant Serena knocked on my office door. Camilla? Forbes magazine is asking again. They're doing the 30 under 30 list. Tell them to talk to Tyler, I said, eyes still on my screen. They don't want Tyler. They know it's you. They're publishing with or without your input. I froze. How? Probably that intern from FinSafe. He never signed the right paperwork. I leaned back in my chair, thinking about my uncle's face the day he threw my laptop into the rain. All those emails, all those warnings. Fine, I said. I'll do it, but I have one condition. 2 weeks later, I sat in my glass office holding an early copy of Forbes. The cover boldly stated, Camila Vega, 26-year-old founder of Vega Guard Systems, youngest self-made cybersecurity billionaire. My phone buzzed. My aunt calling. I watched it ring, then let it go to voicemail. If you've ever been put down, judged, or told your dreams were unrealistic, hit subscribe because Camilla's story isn't over, and neither is yours. The Forbes article came out on Tuesday. Bye. Wednesday morning, Uncle Mateo's accounting firm had lost 3 big clients to firms using modern security systems. By Thursday, they'd lost 5 more. My phone, nonstop buzzing. My aunt had called 37 times. My uncle, 18. Even Paul tried messaging me on LinkedIn, surely after hearing his father's company lost clients over security concerns. Friday morning, Serena popped her head into my office. Camilla, your uncle and aunt are downstairs. I looked up from my work. Here? They brought backup, she said carefully. The Ramirez's, both father and son. Of course they did. This wasn't family visiting. This was business. Desperate business. They don't have appointments, I said, fixing my jacket. No, but your uncle tried to bully our security team with legal talk. Your aunt is crying. I turned to the window. 3 buildings now showed Vega Guard's logo. Send them up, I said, and start Protocol Rosa. Protocol Rosa, named after my grandmother, the only person who believed in me. She secretly bought me my first computer. Now her name was linked to a live display showing every security threat we'd stopped in the last 24 hours. As the elevator went up to the 30th floor, screens across my office lit up. Attack maps, defense logs, comparisons between hacked companies and our protected clients. The doors opened. Uncle Mateo barged in first, holding Forbes magazine like evidence in court. My aunt followed, eyes red from crying. The Ramirez's came in looking stiff and uncomfortable. How dare you? Mateo barked. How dare you embarrass this family like this? Embarrass? I asked calmly. By building a billion-dollar company that protects firms like yours from losing clients? Please continue. You lied to us, my aunt cried, all these years pretending to be some IT assistant. I never lied, I replied coolly. You never asked. I glanced at Paul. Too busy sending me articles about Paul's career or pushing brunch invites to notice what I was building. Paul stepped forward, fake smile in place. Camila, come on. Maybe we can work together. Join forces. Join forces? I pointed at the glowing screens. Everyone gets audited, I said, smiling. Even family. We're not just any clients, Uncle Mateo snapped. We're your family. You owe us. I stood up slowly. Do I? I walked around my desk facing him directly. Let's talk about what I owe you. Should we start with you throwing my stuff in the rain? Or telling people at the country club I was having a breakdown? Or trying to have me declared mentally unfit so I couldn't use my trust fund? His face darkened. That was for your own good. You were throwing away a future. Your future, I said, pressing a button on my desk. The screens behind me changed to show Vega Guard's stock value and market worth. The numbers flashed, huge and impossible to ignore. You mean this? I waved my hand. The company worth more than every accounting firm in this city combined. The system protecting 80% of Fortune 500s? The technology behind a new $2 billion government contract? My aunt fell into a chair, clutching her scarf. But why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened? I asked, crossing my arms. Uncle Mateo clearly said I wasn't his niece anymore, that no family of his worked in IT. That was 3 years. Ego, she whispered. We were worried. No, I cut her off. You were worried about appearances, about the canceled wedding with Paul and what the neighbors would think. Paul stepped forward, still trying to charm his way through. Camila, we can get past this. Let's have dinner, talk it over. I pressed another button. A contract appeared on the wall screen. This is Vega Guard's standard audit agreement, I said, calmly. If your firms want to work with us, sign this. The fee is $50,000 per audit, non-negotiable. $50,000? Judge Ramirez gasped. That's robbery. Actually, it's a bargain, I replied. Ask the clients you've lost. I went back to my desk. Serena will email you the paperwork. Standard. Processing takes 6 to 8 weeks. Weeks? Mateo shouted. We're losing clients now. You should have thought about that before treating cybersecurity like it was beneath you. I checked my watch. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a board meeting. Camila Isabella Vega, my aunt said, voice shaking. This isn't over. It is, I said, nodding to security by the elevator. They'll show you out. Oh, and that reserved parking. Spot at Vega and Vega? You might want to change it. The Vega name means more in tech now. After they left, Serena brought me coffee. Your aunt left this, she said, handing me an old photo. She wanted to give it to you herself, Serena added, placing a small frame on my desk. But she didn't have the courage. It was a picture of me at 12, bent over my first computer in my grandparents' house, a gift from Grandma Rosa. I smiled. Uncle Mateo had hated it. Computers will rot her brain, he'd complained, but Grandma Rosa had leaned close and whispered, Keep going, Mila. Then she secretly gave me books about computers during family dinners. Some people build big things with spreadsheets, she told. Me. You'll build yours with code. I put the photo next to the Forbes cover on my desk. On one side, a 12-year-old girl dreaming in front of an old computer. On the other, a woman who turned those dreams into billions. The next few weeks brought nonstop attempts to make up. My aunt emailed daily, shifting from guilt to bargaining to subtle manipulation. Uncle Mateo's firm paid for our full audit. Full price. Paul Ramirez sent a bright red Tesla to my building. I donated it to a Girls in Tech program. I stayed focused. We launched a new AI security system, bought 2 cutting-edge startups. My wealth quietly doubled, then tripled. But nothing distracted me from the date I'd marked on my calendar. Grandma Rosa's birthday, the first since she died. I visited her grave alone, placing roses and a copy of Forbes magazine by her headstone. You? We're right, Grandma, I whispered. I built something bigger than they ever imagined. I stood quietly until I heard someone behind me. My aunt. She looked smaller now. Older. Not bossy. Not perfect. Just unsure. The roses, she said softly. That computer was her idea. I know, she insisted. Said she saw something in you. I was against it, but she said you had fire, the kind she recognized. She held out another photo. Grandma and me laughing with computer wires all around us. She left this for you, and a letter. She paused. I was supposed to give it to you if you ever succeeded, but I didn't think you would. Not in tech. I opened the note written in Grandma Rosa's flowing handwriting. Mila, if you're reading this, you've already proven them wrong. I always knew you would. Your family doesn't, the letter said. They never understood that real success isn't about following old paths. It's about creating new ones. Prove them wrong, my brilliant girl, then prove them right about one thing. That you're still their family, even if you chose a different path. Love, Grandma Rosa. I looked up at my aunt, really looked at her for the first time in years. Her perfect hair and pearls couldn't hide how tired she looked, or how much regret she carried. I have a meeting in an hour, I said, folding the letter carefully and putting it in my pocket. But maybe we could have coffee next week, just us. Her eyes filled with tears. I'd like that. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe it was the start of something new. That evening, I added 2 things to my office wall: Grandma's letter and our photo with my first computer. Between them, I framed a page of code, the first version of my security system. My phone buzzed. Serena, your uncle's firm passed the audit, approved the contract. I looked at my wall, little me smiling at an old computer screen, the Forbes cover, the letter that believed in me before anyone else. Me, add one more thing. They have to change the parking sign first. Vega Guard systems sounds good, because sometimes success isn't about proving people wrong. Sometimes it's about proving yourself right, and sometimes, just sometimes, it's about finding your own way home, even if you need to build a billion-dollar bridge to get there. If you've ever been put down, pushed aside, or told your dreams were silly, I hope my story showed you that quiet strength is still strength. I built something powerful when no one believed in me, not to prove them wrong, but to prove me right. Leave a comment below. Share your story, your turning point, or just a word of support. I read them all. And if you're still on your journey, here's my advice. Trust your spark, even when others can't see it. Subscribe and stay with me, because we're just getting started, and I'm not done building.